Okay, we can go ahead and get started, and then I'm sure people will start rolling in as they do. But hello, and welcome to Adobe Lightroom Basics. My name is Bliss, and I am a library service representative with the Plano Public Library. Today, I'll be assisted by my chat facilitator and tech support Priyanka and our resident librarian Anna. So if Priyanka and Anna, y'all can both please say hi.
Hello, everybody. This is Anna. Nice to meet you.
Hi, everyone. This is Priyanka.
Awesome. Okay, so just some ground rules before we get started. You will be muted during this class and we have your video blocked. You will only see the instructor's screen. So at the top of your screen, you can find an exit full screen option if you need to get to other things on your computer. So if you want to jump over to Adobe, you're welcome to do that. You are welcome to ask questions or request that the instructor repeat any information at any given time during today's program. You should see an icon at the bottom of your screen that says chat. So if you click on that, you can open the chat window. Chat is set to be seen by library staff only. Please note that if any inappropriate comments are said, they will cause your immediate removal from the class. If you prefer, you may use the Q&A feature, also located at the bottom of your screen, to ask any questions as well. A recording of today's class will be available in a few days on the Plano Public Library YouTube page. So if you'd like to watch today's class and practice along with the recording later, you are absolutely welcome to do so. Alrighty, so just a quick disclaimer, I am not a photo editing expert. So today we will be covering the basics of photo organization and editing tools available to digitally enhance your photos in Adobe Lightroom. So this class is designed to be at a beginner level, so no experience is required. And we will be keeping our topic coverage at an introductory level with with practice, Adobe Lightroom can become a very powerful photo editing tool to add to your digital workflow. If you want to follow along with today's class or when the recording is posted, you can get a free 7-day trial of Adobe Lightroom through the Adobe website. Also, currently at all 5 of the Plano Public Library locations, we are offering access to Adobe Creative Cloud, so you can access Lightroom for free at any of our libraries. See. So in addition to that, Parr, Haggard, and Harrington libraries have a digital creation space that you can book where you can get access to the full Adobe Creative Cloud suite, along with some other really cool software and equipment. So if you want to practice like photography all the way through editing, we do have access to some of those things as well, which is pretty neat. So yeah, I have some exercise files along with a handout to share with y'all today. So Priyanka will be loading those into the chat. And then if y'all just want to click into that, you should be able to access them and then we can get started.
Just give it a minute. They are not transferring, but you carry on and do the transfer.
Perfect. So as she's transferring those, I can kind of give y'all just a little once over of what is Adobe Lightroom. So in short, it is a cloud-based service that provides users with the ability to organize, store, edit, and share their photos across any device. So that could be desktop, mobile, web, etc. It is an industry standard, as is most of Adobe softwares, when it comes to digital photography. So like most Adobe Creative Cloud applications, think Photoshop, Illustrator, etc., it is a powerhouse whenever it comes to a wide range of features users have access to for their photography project needs. Today, we only have a little over an hour, and we will be covering the very basics of what you need to know to start familiarizing yourself with Lightroom and how it helps streamline the post-processing workflow for photography. I would like to take this time to mention that you have access to some wonderful courses within your library card on both LinkedIn Learning and Udemy that are several hours long and delve way further into it and get to a much more specific level. We'll have links to both of those courses at the end of the presentation. So yeah, Adobe also offers something called Adobe Lightroom Classic, which basically looks like this logo right here, except it has a C next to it. And that one is a desktop-based version. So it'll only be accessible on your desktop. It will not give you access to Adobe Cloud. They are both perfectly capable of getting you the same level of editing ability. Lightroom Classic just looks a little different, looks a little older. And again, it's desktop based only. So you can only work with local files and you can't switch between devices. So yeah. So let's move on. Let's see how many we have to these. Alrighty, so once the rest of these files are in here, we'll be able to move on over. So if y'all want, you're welcome to go ahead and download all of these. And on top of that, there will be the handout, which you can follow along as well. So that whenever we bump into Adobe Lightroom, y'all will be able to kind of work along with me or work alongside me. And for ease of this too, if y'all want to download all the all the photos and drop them into a folder, you can do that as well, just so it's kind of clean on your desktop too.
Okay, Bliss, I think we've got all the files in the chat.
Wait, alrighty, let me close out of this guy. Alrighty, so now I am in Adobe Lightroom, which again, it has that LR logo. So if you click into that, it should open up this screen. So this right now, I'm just in my profile, which is under the community tab. Some cool things in here. You can see featured photos. So other people's photos that are popular, get inspiration that way, which is pretty neat. But for the meantime, we're going to jump down. If you click on this all photos section down here, this will kind of give you your workspace. So these are just some photos that we had in here from a while ago, but just to kind of give you a rundown of everything that you'll be able to see. So here you have your photos panel. So you have recently added different things like that, which we'll go over that more how to organize in a second. Then we have the menu bar, which is up here. And these are going to be your classic file, edit, view, etc. We'll play in that a little bit later. That'll be how you export photos at the very end. Then you have search and filter. That'll be the search bar right up at the top. And then you also have content window. So those will be these options down here. And these basically let you decide how you want to view your images. So if you want a side by side, sometimes it's easier to compare photos that way. Or if you want them all just in a grid to compare sizes and things, or if you want them with the image names at the bottom, sometimes that's helpful as well if you've previously named your images. Then down here, we have ratings and flags. So this is one of the main ways that you can categorize your photos, which again, we'll jump into in a second, but those are down there. And then over here on the side, this is your tool panel. So this is how we'll do all the actual editing, which again, we'll jump into after I teach y'all how to do some basic photo organization. So first things first, we have to import the media in order to organize the media. So on this guy, if we click right here, you might not see this window. Click this button right up here that shows you the little side window to bring up this, and that'll be how you import photos. So we have that, and then you'll click on add photos, which I believe is right here, if y'all can see that. And you will have options between cloud and local files. So local files means it's already downloaded onto your computer. Cloud means that it exists within Adobe itself. So we kind of end up wanting to work in cloud just so that it's saved somewhere else and you can access it from multiple devices. So yeah, so you'll go ahead and click this add photos button. And then I have all of mine saved on the desktop under exercise files. Yours might be a bunch of individual files that kind of look like this. So you'll see them that way as well. So one of the cool things that you can do here is you can either select a singular photo if you want to upload that, or you can select multiple photos. The way you do that is by holding down the shift key and then finding the last photo you want and click on that, and it highlights all of them. So once again, that would be you click on the first one, hold down your shift key, click on the last, and it'll get all of them. You can also drag as well. That's another option. Might be a little difficult on a laptop, but you can do it. So yeah, and then another option, if you want to say pick every other one or just a few, you can hold down the control key if you're on a PC or the command key if you're on a Mac. And if you hold down that, you can pick certain photos and it won't get all of them. But for the sake of this demonstration, we want all of them. So we're just going to highlight all of the above. And then you're going to click this review for import button, which will make this nice and easy. And then you'll see they all pull up inside of Adobe. Yay, they're all there. So yes, then you can see you'll have to click this add 13 photos button here. But this part's nice because it's basically reviewing all of the photos that you have selected. So say, oh no, I accidentally selected one that I don't want. You can unclick it here and it won't add it to Adobe. So no problems if you mess up along the way. There's several like checkpoints. But again, we want all the photos for this demonstration. So we're going to click all of the photos. Then at the end, you're going to click this add 13 photos button, and it should add all of the 13 photos. And you'll see over here, it added them to the recently added button right here. So that's our earlier ones that we saw. And then the just now will be the ones that we just added right now, which will be all of these 13 photos, except for this one, which doesn't like to work. So we can go ahead and delete that one, which I'll explain how to do a little more of that later. But yeah, again, if you want to delete a photo, basically you can click on it and you can either right click and then you'll see this delete one photo and that'll delete it out of your Adobe area. So now let's get to some of the categorization. Categorization is important because if it's a situation like this where you have a bunch of photos that kind of look very similar to each other, it's easy to sort through the ones that you actually want to edit. Of course, if you take 100 photos, you're welcome to edit all 100 photos, but that is a lot of work, especially if you are dealing in a high volume of photos, which a lot of us tend to do, especially if we're, photographing events and different things like that. So here are a couple of the main ways, which again, you'll kind of create your own workflow, your own preferences whenever it comes to this, the more that you use it. But these are just kind of some of the industry staples that you'll see if you ever go work or ask other people how they are accomplishing different things within Adobe Lightroom. So yes, first things first, we're going to go over to the albums over here, and we're going to click add, create an album. So you click this little plus button right there, and then you're going to click create album. And this, oh wait, I forgot to select the photos first. My bad, guys. Actually, here's all the photos. You want to select all of them first. So we have this photo here. And again, you can click that shift key and then the last one, and it'll highlight all of them. Now we're going to go to the button and click create album. So let's go ahead and give this the album name of Lightroom Basics, because that's the class that we're doing today. So now we go down here and it's an album. So this is basically, again, if you're adding a bunch of photos or you're doing a bunch of different projects at one time, it's much easier to create an album, have it named so you're able to find it. Of course, you can leave it under recently added. They will, cross edit into there as well. But it can become kind of difficult to find, especially because it just auto saves by the date you uploaded it. So not necessarily the date you created them. So that can be kind of hard to track. So I recommend, again, making an album. It just makes life easier. So yeah, that'll basically be how you create an album. Now, one of the great subsets is, again, if you have, like, say you photographed a wedding or something and you have thousands of photos, what you can do is have them all in here and you'd name it, say something like wedding. But for us, it's this Lightroom Basics. You can click this add button again and say we just want couple folders. So we'll go create folder. Now, folders are awesome because they basically give you another subsection to divide things into, and you can even do folders within folders, which is also very nice. So on this guy, we can go ahead and name it class because we are in class. Yay! And then you can click create. So as you see, it moved this entire album into the class folder. So then say we want to then make it have another subsection, we can go create folder again and do 2025. And then you'll see it then bumped it into the 2025 folder. So again, these are all just really nice ways to kind of break down the, massive chunks of images that you may acquire as you do photography. Just a way to, again, categorize it, make it easy to find, things like that. So yeah. Now that we have them in our album inside of our folders, we can basically go in and start either ranking them, flagging them, applying keywords, etc. So let's first start off with applying keywords. So these are very nice because say, for example, in these, say we want a bunch of keywords about clouds. So we have a couple different images about clouds, like this one, this one, this one, etc. And that one, if you double click on the photo, it brings it into the full image view. But if you come back down here on this bottom part to the navigate, you can send it back to the grid version so you can see them back easier again. So for the keywords, make sure you are again in your album, and then you're gonna click, let's say, all of our cloud images. So again, you can click that control button if you're on a PC, or the command button if you're on a Mac, and then you'll highlight all of the images that you want to classify as a cloud. So I would say these 5 images, again, you could classify different ones if you want, but for the sake of this, we're going to do clouds. Then to add keywords, we're going to utilize the shortcut of Control K. Control K basically just brings up the keyword menu, but you do also have this option down here of the button that has a little tag on it. So you can either click this button down here and it'll bring up the keywords, or you can hit that Control K and that'll bring up the keywords. Again, on a Mac, it would be Command K, but same thing. So again, for this, we're going to go clouds as our keyword. Yay! So now all of these images have the word cloud applied, which makes it very nice for if you go all the way here, you can go up to the search function at the top and then type in clouds, and it'll filter to the photos that have clouds. So yay. So that's how you do that. And then if you want to add multiple keywords at one time, so let's take some of these brighter color photos. Let's do these. Okay, so say we want to add multiple keywords, all you do, so let's say colors, and then maybe bright. So that'll add 2 different keywords. All you have to do is add a comma between all the keywords that you want, and then that creates the different keywords. And again, these are just options so that you can click on them. Oh yeah, if you want to delete the keyword, you click on the word whenever it has the strike through. So we'll once again add, oh, we have colors. Yay, and it brings it back. So that's just kind of how you work between different keywords. So again, later you can sort by them and see all the ones that you want. So again, a good context for this would be, say again, wedding photos, and you have a bunch of the bride smiling. You could keyword all of them as smile so that you know which ones have the bride smiling. It just makes life a little easier whenever you know that you need to edit certain photos. So next, and this one is my personal favorite way of categorizing images, is if you double click into the image again so that you can see it, you can actually rate the images. So this is down here at the bottom. You'll see these 5 stars right here. And these are very nice because, again, if you have a lot of images next to each other and you're just kind of speed running through them, trying to rank them, you can get rid of the blurry ones very fast by just giving those a 1 star. But take this image, for example. I think this is a very pretty photo. I absolutely want to edit this. We'll give it a 5 star. So you can click that and it applies that 5 star to the image, which is very neat. But then say this one. The colors are pretty, but it's a bit blurrier, not as fun. So we'll give it a 1 star. So again, all you have to do is down here on this little button panel is click either 5 stars, 1 star, different numbers of stars, depending on your own personal ranking system. So we can go ahead and give some of these some other ones so that I can show y'all some cool stuff we can do with them. So now if we go back to our grid, which again, just click here on this button down here, what you can do is my filter button. So this filter button right here, this is basically, you can either search it which again for keywords works really well right here, or you can click this filter button. And this filter button is perfect for, again, filtering by what you have, what designations you have given each of these photos. So say that I want all my photos that are 3-star and above. So you click this 3-star button, and right now you'll see there's a little equal sign next to it. So that means it's showing you all the photos that are exactly 3 stars. But we don't want that. We want all the photos that are 3 stars or more. So you click the greater than, and then it'll show you all the photos that are 3 stars or more. Vice versa, if you want all those photos that are 3 stars or less, you can click the less than one. And it'll show you all the photos that are 3 stars or less. So again, that's just one great way to kind of filter by those. And if you want to clear it back and go back to your full set of things, you just click this X button and it'll bring you back to your full album. So then another method you can do, which this one's easy if you're just wanting to zoom through some photos, go back real quick, is pick, reject. So those are these 2 flag buttons at the bottom. You can either pick the photo or reject the photo. Now, this doesn't do anything like sending it to the trash or anything like that. Again, it's just a method of tagging photos so that you can get through them faster and see what you need to edit faster. So again, for example, let's say I want to pick this one, and then we'll go to the next photo. Say that I don't want to pick this one. And then the next one already has a star, but you can actually do both at the same time. So say it's 4-star and I want to pick it. Yay. So again, if you want to filter these, you go back to this filter button, which ours is again already picked. And then you can click the pick button and it will show you all the ones that you have picked. Conversely, you can go the rejected button, it'll show you the ones rejected. And then the middle flag is all the ones that don't have a pick at all. Which again, if you want to get rid of them, you can either just click on that again, or you can click this X button right next to the filter and that clears it out as well. So that's basically all the ways that you can filter through a bunch of different photos. Again, it just makes life easier whenever you have big batches of photos. If you just want to edit, 1 or 2 individual ones at a time, you won't really need this. But for big batches, it's a lifesaver, trust me. So let's go into some actual editing now. So first off, we're going to move over to this tools section over here. So that'll be, again, over on your right-hand side. You'll see all these fun little buttons and icons. But first, let's open a photo. Which one do I want? Let's do the pretty sunset with the people swimming on a boat. Oh, to be swimming on a boat. So yes, let's first start off with this first or the second button. It'll be this edit button. So you'll see it has a couple lines with dots on it. They're little sliders because that's basically what we'll be doing is sliding around the values. So some of this might look familiar if you've ever edited photos on your phone. The basic photo app has all of these edit functions. So some of this might be a little repetitive, but this is, again, just the basics of photo editing. So they tend to be pretty common. So first up, you have exposure, which will be this first button up at the top. I usually like to start with exposure because that is just the brightness of the photo. So if you are a photographer, you're probably pretty familiar with this. You can edit it in a camera as you're taking the photo, or you can edit it after the fact. So a lot of photographers like to start with a really low exposure so that they can go edit it afterwards. So just to show you what that looks like, if you click on this little round dot, you can drag it up and that basically brings up the light in the photo a lot. So as you can see, it kind of washes it out, makes it look a little silly. Or you can bring it all the way down, which also makes it look a little silly as it can be pitch dark. Now, one of the cool factors that I like about this is if you ever are here and you're like, oh man, I don't like what that looks like. Instead of trying to slide it back to 0, because as you can see, it gets all these little tiny amounts and it won't ever get exactly to 0 how you want it. What you can do is actually just double click somewhere vaguely in the middle and it'll reset it to 0. So once again, you can either, if you slide it up and you're like, oh man, that looks bad, you can go anywhere near the middle, double click it, and it'll bring it back to 0 for you, which is really nice because again, if you ever get really far into editing, sometimes you're like, this is just not looking right. You want to go see what it looks like compared to the original. That's a way to reset all of the values. So next, I would recommend moving into these whites and blacks down here. These do exactly what they sound like. They control the amount of white and black in the photo. And these are very good at kind of balancing out what's in the photo. So for example, like this is all kind of dark, so you can kind of see what it does taking them in and out. So we can kind of play with that later. For me, I think it looks good. It probably needs a little bit extra. We can go to maybe there, and then I'll show you what that kind of looks like. Whites, conversely, does the same thing. It just brings up the white and the black values. And again, I'm just double clicking in the middle to bring it back to 0. So then I would move on to contrast, highlights, and shadows. Contrast just means the amount of difference between the lightest point and the darkest point in the photo. So very low contrast means that there's not a very big difference. This is what a lot of people call washed out. It makes the photo look a little washed out. So this is the opposite of it. This is a very high contrast photo. That means there's a lot of difference between the two. So again, you want to return it to normal, double click the middle. Highlights, again, pretty much what it sounds like. It'll be the lightest points in the photo. So you can either bring those up, bring them down. That's kind of the difference of what it makes there. Double clicking in there. And then shadows, again, it'll be the shadowy points in the photo, bringing them up and bringing them down so you can kind of see the difference. And then double clicking back into that. So those are kind of the main differences that you would do. So again, I would definitely start in the light panel. This usually tends to be the biggest issue with photos and is usually the easiest to fix. A lot of times you can just finish in here and it'll end up fixing all of your problems anyway. So we can go ahead and kind of, doctor this up a little bit, make it look how we want. So maybe we'll bring that down a little, bring the contrast also down a little bit. Highlights up, okay, let's go up a little. Shadows, play with you. Now you'll see as I'm kind of doing this, you just kind of wiggle around with it and see what looks better. And I would say the most important thing, if I could impress upon you in this entire program, is your eyes are your greatest tool. So what you think looks good probably looks good. Trust your instinct on that. Trust what you know. Just play around with it. Again, if you don't like any of it, you can reset it super easy. There's a lot of stuff you can do and you can redo, but again, trust your eyes. On that note, 2 things I would recommend is make sure that the brightness of your computer screen is all the way up. The amount of times where I've been editing a photo that looks like this, and I'm like, man, I can't see that at all. And then I realize it's because the brightness on my computer screen is super low is incredibly common. So make sure that your brightness is all the way up. Also, if you have a night shift, meaning that your computer turns really orange and warm at night and you are editing photos at night, make sure that's turned off, because I have also, as you'll see in the color, you can change the temperature of it. I have made photos almost completely blue, trying to negate the orange that is just the color of my screen. It had nothing to do with the photo at all. So yeah, trust your eyes and make sure your computer is at full brightness and does not have any weird tone shifting stuff happening. So yeah, now that we have some of this, let me see what order it was. Okay, so we'll go color editing tools next. Okay, so color is actually this tab that is right underneath it. So we're still working in this slider button right here, and you'll see the light. Color will be this guy. So color is very fun because there's basically 2 different ways that you can do it. We're going to focus on the easiest one, which is just with these 4 sliders right here. Once you get more in depth, they do have this color grading panel, which is where you start working in the actual like meat of the photo. But that again gets a little more complicated. The Udemy and LinkedIn videos do talk about it. So if you're more interested in that, if you've ever heard the term color grading and you want to get very into the like nitty gritty of it, I recommend those videos. So yeah, but for now, we're going to work in color. Yay. So first things first on these is temperature. I'm actually going to move into this photo to show it because I think it'll be able to show it a little better. So in temperature, this basically just means the warmth of the photo. So how orange or how blue it is. So usually for morning daytime photos, they tend to go a little warmer. For evening colors, they tend to be a little bluer. So these also kind of depend on the mood that you personally are going for. Again, a lot of this is just up to personal taste. There is no right or wrong way. But if you are interested in a right or wrong way, I will show you another example of that with this train photo in a second. But yeah, just for starters, this is kind of what it looks like whenever it's warmer. As you can see, this might give more folksy type of vibes because it starts getting warmer. Of course, you can make it a little too warm. This looks almost sepia in color. And then on the cooler end, it starts getting very blue. So this can look comical if you send this too far in one direction or another, but you can just kind of play around with it. So me, I'd probably want it a little warmer. Why not have some cozy winter vibes happening? Next is tint. So tint, I'll actually wait until we jump into this one because I can show you a little bit more once we get to this photo here. So next we'll go to vibrance. Vibrance basically just means how bright the color is, like how much it stands out. So basically it's taking the least saturated colors in the photo and making them pop out a little more or pop out less if that's what you wanted to. So like if you up the vibrance, you can see a lot of this blue in the middle kind of turned to purple. It's basically just making it pop a little more, some of those shadows. But then if you take it out, it basically turns the photo to black and white. So again, I usually like to up the vibrance a little bit. This is another great one to start with if you don't know what to fix. Again, like a lot of times just exposure, a little bit of vibrance can fix 90% of phone photos in my opinion. The last one over here is saturation. Saturation, again, some of y'all might be familiar with. It's basically just how bright the colors are in the image. So just the full intensity of colors. So this, if you drag it all the way up, you'll see it brings out a lot of color. Drag it all the way down, it turns it black and white. So those are just kind of the basics of some of those. I'll return them all to normal, again, by double clicking the middle. Then to show you a fun example, which this one I don't know if it actually mentions in the handout, but again, it's a very neat trick that I personally like to use. So this photo, right? We're in Paris and all the metro cars there are white, but obviously in this photo, they look super yellow. So you can start playing with this to try to make it cool, but then again, oh no, it looks ridiculous, right? So you can actually drag this back over here. This is called the white dropper, white balance selector, eyedropper. They have a couple different terms for it. But this guy is basically you click on it and it pulls up this little circle guy. All you're doing is you're clicking on something that should be true white. So for example, this streetcar, it should be true white. Right now it's yellow. So you're gonna click on it and it automatically brings every value in there up to make this true white. So again, this is a very nice trick if you're looking at a photo and you're like, man, something is wrong with it. I can't tell what it is. You're playing with temperature, you're playing with tint, and it doesn't like it. This is a great way to get it to that true white. It does that temperature and tint for you. So yeah, I really like that guy. This is not a hack for teeth whitening. That is a completely different thing. But this is, again, if you're looking at a photo and you're like, it just looks a little wonky, maybe try this white balance guy. It can really help. But you do want to make sure that you click off of it when you're done because it'll just continue to click on things and make it all kinds of crazy. So as you can see, it automatically set the temperature to -62 and the tint to +16. So tint, for example, some photos skew a little green, skew a little pink. It's just the way cameras work. So this is a way to kind of correct that. So you can slide these guys. As you can see, it'll make it super green or it'll make it super pink. This will kind of send it back to yellow, full magenta-y, right? So this one, I think it had it on 16. There we go. And another thing, if you're sliding this and it's not working, you can double click into the number and actually type it in. So this is great if, I know a lot of people on TikTok, social medias, Instagram and all that, they'll give you preset values of what to type in. So that's how you would type them in here. So you just double click on that guy and type it in. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. But for this photo in particular, I actually kind of liked the yellowy vibes. I think it gave it some character, gave it some pizzazz of the situation. So we're going to bring some of that back. So just a little bit lighter, but again, and then again, you can play with exposure, bring that how you want it, contrast, these whites and blacks, just depending on what you want to see in the image and what you don't. So yeah, that's kind of the rundown of all of those guys. Now I'm going to show you one of my favorite things, which is the presets. So you can go ahead and click off of this tab right here and we'll click back into this one on top of it, the two circles on top of each other over here. This is the presets tab. So presets are amazing because it's basically editing your photo for you. So you can either go download presets online. A lot of them are free, some of them are pay. It's up to you. You can create your own presets by clicking this plus sign. It'll let you either create one or download one. And then there is also premium. Those are kind of included, depending on the specific style, if you have something you want. I honestly just like this recommended tab. Uh, Call me taking the lazy way out, but it has some pretty good stuff in here. So this is basically, it's assessing your photo using AI and looking at what type of presets would be best depending on your goal, right? So as you can see, some of these are not great. That looks very washed out. This one makes them all look moldy. Uh, so they're not all going to be gems, but there's some like this one, which just really make that pop. Another cool thing you can do with presets is if you just hover over it, so don't click, just move your mouse on top, it shows you what it looks like with it. And then if you take your mouse off, it shows you without. So you can kind of see the back and forth on those. Then you can also compare them directly next to each other. So say you want to compare this preset and this preset. You can just hover over the both of them, flipping back and forth to see. So again, this one kind of makes it look moldy. Not my fave. This one, kind of interesting. It has some bright colors. I kind of like it. So you can just kind of play around with these, see the different ones that you like. It also might give you ideas for how to edit your photo. So if you click on it, you can change the amount, and this basically just bumps up what the sliders are doing, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, you can either bump that up or down. So this means no filter. This means double the filter, basically. But we'll leave it just at the filter that it had, because I think that's a good amount. It made the colors a little brighter, made it all seem a little happier. Also kind of compared this, dark side, light side really nicely too. So if you click back into your edit over here, you'll see what exactly it's doing to the photo. So it upped the saturation, went down on the blacks, down on highlights, up on contrast, and a littlest baby bit of exposure. So again, that's a good way if you want to kind of experiment with how things move and what moving these things look like. Clicking in the different presets, you can kind of see on the side the bars are moving, and it'll give you a sense of what you think looks good, what doesn't. So example, this preset might look very different from these presets. So this photo right now obviously has very low contrast, not a ton of saturation, but some of these will show you what it'll look like with more. So again, you can kind of play around, see on both the color panel and the light panel what's changing in them so that you can see what type you like, which again, I think is pretty neat. So this one, again, for example, if you click on this guy, you can see the temp went really low, and this makes it kind of look like it's nighttime. A fun movie fact, if y'all want, that's how they filmed the Lord of the Rings night scenes, is they were all actually filmed during the day, and then they basically just turned it way down. So that's a fun fact there. But yeah, so I say, again, you kind of compare the two. I think I like this one a lot. So we can just click this preset. Let's say that I want it a little less saturated, a little more like my original. You can bump that down a little bit. And then you can go in and of course you can change these to be exactly what you want. They're always just, I like them as a starting point. A lot of times they're good, especially again for just iPhone photos, family photos, etc. I think presets are going to be the way to go because it's just an easy, fast way to make it great. But of course, if you start getting a personal style, a personal sense of what you like, you can start writing these down and type them in, but that's the long way. Or again, you can go into presets, click create preset, and then it basically takes everything that you have, all of those values, so how much your exposure is, et cetera, and then you can name it, and then it creates that preset for you. So yeah, now we'll go on to the remove tool. So for this guy, we're gonna bump back over into this fun photo over here of the boat. But say you just want this little boat over here, right? I'm gonna to close these panels, you basically just click on the icon again and that closes the panel. But yeah, so say we're over here and I just want this boat. But there's two people over here and there's this big boat. So how do we get rid of it? Well, you have two options. So the first one is you can crop it, which again, if you've ever edited photos on your phone, probably pretty familiar with crop. But basically you can click on this guy and you can either crop them to a specific size. So like a 1:1 would be a square. You can go 16 by 9, which would be like an iPhone size, 5 by 4, which is like a pretty classic photo size, printed photo size. You can do that. And then to change the orientation, so say we wanted a sideways photo, keep it landscape, you can just click this square with the arrow on top right here, and that'll tilt it, make it sideways. So say you could do that, but you're obviously cropping out all of this, because if you click enter after that, it shows you what it cropped to, and it's left out half the sunset. So we don't want that. So to undo, you can either click this backwards arrow button, or you can go Control Z or Command Z. So you can either just go back and go back until it fixes it. It will go through all of the edits that you made. So all of my playing with the crop features, it will go through all of that. So you might have to click it a couple times to get it back to normal. But yeah, so that's, you could crop it. I don't really like the crop option though. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But for this one, we're actually going to do the remove tool. So the remove tool, you click directly under the crop. It looks like a little marker or eraser. It'd be this guy. And you click on the same little icon up here at the top. Now, this is a really cool tool because basically Adobe takes AI and you can remove an entire thing, right? So we're going to remove this boat and remove these people. And it replaces it with what it believes is behind that image. So what it believes is behind the boat, it'll fill in it. So just to show you, you don't want to be too fine with it. You do want to leave it a little bigger than the object. So I think just the starting size is good. So you'll click down and then circle all around the object, right? So we can go kind of like that and get all of the boat. So we'll click that. You see it highlights it all in red. And then it'll pull up this selected button over here. And you'll want to keep it on add right there. And then you'll click this remove button. And then it'll tell you that it's removing area using AI and it'll load. And then it disappeared. It's like the magic eraser of photos. It's amazing. So where you used to have to go in Photoshop and then try to like individually remove it and replace it with different parts of the photo, this, it's just automatically doing it. The other cool thing is if you're looking at it and you're like, it looks a little fuzzy around the edges, I don't like it, you have options. So if you click this variations button, you'll see it has some arrows. So you can click the arrow and compare the different options of what it came up with. And then you can just pick the one that you think is the most natural. So for me, just looking at the water and everything, I kind of like this one the most. Like it's just looking at it, I feel like it kind of disappeared the best. But again, you can kind of play around with it. Another thing is if it does this and you're like, man, I don't like the way that looks, you can have it regenerate by clicking this generate button and it'll create more. So now let's get rid of the people. Now, one thing for water and for people, if you're doing this for like national landmarks and things like that, make sure you get the shadow of the people too, because sometimes that can do funny things. So we'll try to get both of these people all the way in. And again, we'll click this remove button. It'll go ahead and generate. And wow, I mean, it is like the magic eraser. It's so cool. So then you'll see it's kind of different. You got some different options depending. So again, it's just kind of up to you. You can look at the wave patterns, what you think is the most realistic. I kind of like this one. I know the other one probably fits the wave better. I feel like the colors aren't right. I feel like the colors are better on this. You're not paying attention to that squiggle as much. So now you just have your beautiful little boat and no other boat or people. And then you can just click back into the edit tool to get rid of it and look at your masterpiece. Yay! Now, another thing that you can do within the remove tool is blemish. So as you can see, she has a couple little spots here on her chin. So this is great, again, if you're doing any type of portrait photography and you have, any type of acne, moles, etc., that you may just want to, cover up, not see in the photo. You can click on this heal button. So basically it's the little band-aid right next to the eraser. This one you do want to be pretty close to the size of the object because you're basically copying your skin from another part of your skin. And it can look a little wonky if it's too big. I can show you what it looks like if it's too big first because you'll see. So like it'll do that and then it takes this and it's pulling from another part of the photo. So like it can look crazy, because it's pulling have double teeth. So yeah, so make sure that that is the same size. So we'll make this tiny and then we'll go ahead and cover that guy up and it'll auto pick an area that it thinks is pretty similar, but you can like play around with it. So I think it kind of blends in there. And And then you can go ahead and make another one here for this guy. And again, you can just kind of play around. It's picking up just your own skin, just in different parts, to make it nice and easy. So yeah, I think that's the pretty best way. Another thing is if it's a large area that you need to cover up, but it's looking a little ridiculous, you can change the opacity of it, which basically just means, so 0 means that it's going to be completely visible, and 100% means that it's 100% the new circle that it took. So you can back that off a little bit if you still want the original texture there. You just want to blur it out. Changing that opacity will help a lot. But for little spots like these, you can leave it at 100% and it's probably fine. So yeah, those are those. And now, as you can see, the other glaring issue here is her bright red eyeballs. That would be thank you to flash photography. So it does have a red eye corrector, which I think is a little better than iPhone and Android's red eye corrector. They do also have one. This one's a little more specific and you can get a little more direct with it. So you can click this red eye guy right here. Again, it'll be this little eyeball with the plus button. And this one, it'll have an auto pupil and darken. But for me, I just like to, it'll give you this size. So you go and you want to place it in the middle of the pupil. I know it might be tempting to go up where the red is, but the way that these items work specifically, you want to go dead center to the pupil. So we'll click there. What do you mean? Oh yeah, you got to click it. Sorry. Click it and then drag to the size of the whole iris. So you're starting in the middle of the pupil and you're dragging it out to the whole iris. And then as you can see, it'll kind of decide on it. It might be a little bit off, so you can, widen it out a little, make it fit how you want, keep some of her natural eye color. Ta-da! So as you can see, these are kind of the difference of what the two look like. So we can go ahead and do this guy too. So again, you'll click in the middle of the pupil, and then you'll widen it out to be the whole iris. It might be take a little bit of finagling, but you can figure it out. Play with it as much as you want. Make sure you always click into it because as you can see, if you try to click out of it and then just redo it, it'll be like, I don't see any eyes. And it's like, yeah, because I need this one. So yeah, that's basically how you do it. You're basically just resizing until it looks good, until you like it. Again, you can play with the darken. That'll just tell you how dark or light the thing is. So depending on the lighting in the photo, this will change. I think that 50% is good. So again, if you double click the middle, brings it back to 50. I think that still looks fairly natural. So again, you could click back into that edit guide to just kind of see your work, see how it's looking. So yeah, that's basically the summary of those two. So now, last but certainly not least, say we got done with all of our editing. You're so excited, you have all your beautiful photos. So now we're going to export. You have a couple different options for exporting. The first one is you can click this share button over here. So this will be up in your area above your tools next to this little bell. You can click the share button, and this basically just gives you like quick options. So you can either click your file type if you want a more specific one, or you can go JPEG small and it gives you the set pixels, large, the original previous settings. If you're exporting a lot, sometimes that's helpful. So yeah, that's like kind of the fast way. This is good, again, if you just need it quick, if you just need it fast, you can do that. If you want the more control option though, you'll go up to File, which will be, again, up here next to Edit Photo, next to like your Lightroom thing. You'll see File. On a Mac, it still looks like your the toggle bar at the very top. But yeah, you'll still click on File, and then you'll click on Export, which again, if you want to move this over into Photoshop, since Adobe all works with each other, you can also click Edit in Photoshop. It'll open up Photoshop with you, have your photo, have all your edits saved, and then you can continue working in there. But just for us, we just want to export. So we're going to click this export button, which as it said on the thing, there is the shortcut of you can click Control E or Command E if you're on a Mac, and that'll kind of make it faster. So over here, you can pick what you want. So you can do JPEG, PNG, DNG are kind of the main ones. For me, I'm just going to leave it on JPEG. That's usually the standard. Then dimensions, you can either do small, full size, or custom. That just means how many pixels the image is. So we can just leave it at small. Quality, that's just kind of up to you. If you're doing a bunch of photos and you're just planning on posting them on Facebook or something like that, you can probably leave it at 90%. That's okay. If you want to print, probably bump it up to 100. that'd be about the only reason I could see doing that though. Include watermark, that just means it has your title on it. So that's good if you have copyright or anything and you want to make sure people aren't stealing your images, it will add your watermark, which is pretty neat. So yeah, then all metadata are copyright only. Again, those are matter more if you are doing this professionally. Then we also have file naming. So that just leaves it the name that is in here, or you can like rename it if you want. If you click on this custom name, you can rename it whatever you would like. Then output sharpening, I wouldn't really worry about either of these. Color space, just leave in RGB, that's fine. So yeah, then you'll click export one photo and then you can pick what folder you want. So you can either save it again, if you have like a local file somewhere else, you can save them onto your desktop, wherever you would like. So we can just name this, oh yeah, we can just put it in our desktop folder and then you'll click select folder. And then it should be available for you on the folder. So yeah, that's pretty much all of that. We'll go back over here. So yeah, Priyanka, if you want to go ahead and drop the links for these. So again, that's basically the summary of all the Adobe Lightroom stuff that we have to give you, just the quick and easy, dirty, messy stuff for basic beginners. These are going to be your more advanced courses. So this is if you really like this program and you want to go way more in depth. LinkedIn Learning has two different ones. So Quick Start will be kind of like this class where it'll just give you the fast and zoom in options. The Learning Lightroom, that'll be a slightly more in-depth one. It kind of goes over all the different buttons that you'll see. The Udemy ones are great because they are much longer. Of course, you can pause them, come back to them later, but they'll give you kind of the full-fledged up to mastery of it. The other thing I like about Udemy, Adobe Lightroom does have a mobile app version that you can use. It is slightly different than the desktop version and what exactly you can and can't do. So this kind of teaches you the differences between those. But if you have it on your phone or you want to have it on your phone, you have a desire for that, again, this will be a very good option. Now, as far as Plano Public Library, future programs, I think some of these guys would probably be the best for you. We do have a Premiere Pro program coming up. This will be over short reels. So that's like TikTok style videos, vertical for social media. We do also have an Adobe Illustrator. Those are the ones on how to make graphics and flyers and things like that. Adobe Photoshop. So again, you usually start in Lightroom and then you'll bump over to Photoshop. A lot of it has similarities. There's some crossover of what you can do in both, but Photoshop will kind of go more in depth on that program specifically. And then lastly, Adobe After Effects. So these are motion graphics that you would then put into Premiere Pro videos. So these are basically all the rest of the Adobe programs that we are offering over this year. So yeah, which I believe, yes, Priyanka dropped those in the chat as well. If you want to sign up for any of them, those are the links to the sign up that you can see in the chat. So yeah, that's basically all that I have for y'all. If you have any questions, please let me know.
No questions at this time.
Awesome. All righty. Well, thank y'all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you learned a lot about Adobe Lightroom. So yeah.
Oh, we do have one quick question.
Oh.
Do we need a subscription?
Yes, so Adobe does need a subscription in general if you want to work on your own personal devices, but Plano Public Library does have at all 5 locations a computer that has Adobe Cloud. So you can go in there and you're welcome to use the computer in there. Harrington, Parr, and Haggard, those 3 libraries also have a digital creation space that you can book. You get 2 hours a day that you're welcome to come in, and that basically has like 4 or 5 computers in there. They all have full Adobe Creative Suite on it. They also have access to cameras and other recording equipment that you might need while using that. So you don't have to pay for it if you don't want to, but if you would like it for yourself on your computer, it is subscription. There are a couple different subscription models. You can either buy the full Adobe Creative Cloud, which all of these are monthly subscriptions, and that'll give you access to everything. That'll be like Illustrator, Premiere Pro, the cloud storage, all of that all at once. Or you can buy it by program. So if you just wanted a subscription to Adobe Illustrator, they have that. I think they have a couple bundle programs too. So if you wanted like Photoshop and Illustrator together, I think they have a bundle program for that as well. But yeah, I would highly recommend coming to Plano Public Library, any of our locations, and just using ours.
They responded, awesome, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And any last minute questions?
I do not think so.
Awesome. Well, it was an absolute pleasure, and I hope all y'all have a great rest of your day. And of course, if you have any more questions about Adobe Lightroom or anything like that, feel free to go on our website. We have the Ask PPL button, and you can schedule a 30-minute session with any of our librarians or LSRs, and they'd be more than happy to come and show you in person on our own Adobe computers how to use all of this stuff. So yeah,